Joining me right now in studio is Kevin Richards, owner, operator, president of Ventura Web Design. By way of disclosure, they created my website, alanstock.com. And thank you very much for coming in.
Hey, always love to be here. That was a great guest you just had on. Hard to follow.
Yes, absolutely. Better looking than you. Now, let's just move on. Let's talk about Google. Is Google a monopoly? I asked this for one reason in my mind, because I know the European Union is thinking that they are a monopoly. Is that true?
Well, the person who is more qualified to talk about the legal definition of monopoly just left the building, but I'll give it a shot anyway. So there's a two-pronged test here in the United States, and that is first whether or not a monopoly even exists, and that it seems to be determined partially by the market share of the company, how much of their market they own, and then the second piece of whether or not they're acting in a way that violates antitrust laws is whether or not the company engaged in something that was unfair or anti-competitive. So in Europe, this is where this is happening. This is not happening in the U.S. The European Union, and they have a European Competition Commissioner, and what they're saying is that because Google controls 92% of search over there, they are favoring, they being Google is favoring some of its other properties, and shopping is the one that they're bringing up specifically. They're saying that they're favoring that in the search results, even when that is not the most relevant result. And another company that is kind of pushing this and is in favor of considering Google to be a monopoly is Yelp. We've talked a lot about Yelp here in the United States, and Yelp is very upset with Google because their search rankings are slipping, and Yelp is 100% dependent upon showing up in those Google results to have a viable business model.
Yeah, but Google's got something else going on for them. They almost anticipate what I'm doing. I'll start typing something, and all of a sudden, bam, it just comes up.
They do. That's called instant search. And yeah, Google really is a great product. And I think that's the question. Are they really a monopoly? Is the fact that they just have a great product, does that mean they're a monopoly? I don't know. Not an attorney. But, yeah, instant search, that's a cool product. It makes your searching experience a lot faster. That's why Google came up with it. They figured out that you can read much faster than you can type. So as you're typing things in, it is trying to figure out what you are actually searching for. It's trying to give you the answer before you even ask the question.
You can't say it's a monopoly because it's a great product. Otherwise, you look at Tesla, and because they got a great product of themselves. Is there a monopoly? No, anyone else can try it and can do it, but are they doing it? No.
I think that's the key. It's certainly competing with Google would be a task, but it's not an insurmountable task. If you wind the clock back 10, 15 years, we would have never thought that Microsoft would be where it is today and where Apple is. I mean, it's a completely different world. And Microsoft was also, subject to the antitrust laws and the scrutiny.
Wow. All right. I want to talk a little bit about, I do use Google, by the way, a lot, so I've got to admit that.
65% of people in the United States prefer it as their primary search.
As opposed to
Yahoo or Bing.
Yeah, I don't use Bing really, and I've used Yahoo in the past, but they don't seem to be they're not as thorough as Google. I mean, I don't no reason to say that. I don't have any stock in Google or anything like that.
Now, here's some interesting information. Do you know who actually controls Bing?
No.
Bing is controlled by Microsoft.
Okay.
And then when you're looking at Yahoo, do you know where those results are coming from?
No.
They're actually coming from Bing. So you've got Microsoft and Yahoo teaming up against Google, and those two together are not able to get more than 20-25% of the search share.
Well, who controls Google then?
That is a great question. Google controls Google.
I mean, it's not Apple or anyone else?
No.
Okay. Well, I mean, you just said, you have Microsoft controlling Bing and Yahoo.
Well, what I mean by controlling is they're the one. So Microsoft owns Bing. Bing is a Microsoft product. And Yahoo and Bing have a relationship where Yahoo actually displays search results from Bing and displays them as their own.
And Google is not owned by anyone like that then?
No, Google doesn't have any relationship like that at all.
All right. All right, we're going to head over to traffic in a second, but what I want to do, I want to come back and talk about political websites. I understand that when you search for Hillary Clinton, her website's the first result, but that's not the case with other Democrats. And, I would think that election websites for candidates running for office, any office, mayor maybe, or all the way on up to president, the positioning you have when people do searches might have a huge impact on the outcome of that election. So I want to talk about that in a moment. I know you've been involved in various websites for various elections, so I want to talk about some of that in a moment. Kevin Richards, Ventura Web Design, joining me. You want to find out more about Ventura Web Design, get in touch with Kevin Richards. All you have to do is go to allenstock.com. It's on the right-hand side of the page. You'll see a Ventura Web Design logo. Click onto that, and there you are. Wherever you're at, there you're at. All right, so let's talk about this real quickly. I want to get into this, the political aspect. Hillary Clinton, her website, when you search for Hillary Clinton, her website comes up first. Not necessarily the case with some of the Republicans out there.
That is exactly right, and that's one of the things we're entering campaign season, and I think the candidates have finally acknowledged that digital marketing is an incredibly important part of their overall strategy. And so when you look at Hillary Clinton's website, she's doing a great job right out of the gate. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you and your listeners, if you check out the Allen Stock fan page on Facebook right now, you can see a image. So have you ever gone to a website and the link was a bad link, or you typed in the address wrong and it comes up with an error message? Oh, hey, you're at the right website, but the link you typed in is wrong. Have you seen that?
No.
You've never typed in the wrong link?
I've never seen the exact wording, but
okay, yeah. So they put it. There's an error message. It usually says error 404, and that's a server error.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So Hillary and her smart digital marketing team had some fun with it. If you go to her website or you go to Allen Stock fan page on Facebook, you can see the error message that comes up. It actually shows them in when it's got Bill and Hillary and Chelsea, and they are visiting Disneyland. And the message is, the link you typed in is not all it's quacked up to be. And you can see Hillary wearing a Donald Duck hat, and Bill's got a Donald Duck hat on too, so does Chelsea. And of course, there's Donald Duck right there with him. And
And there's Bill going, I swear to God, I never had sex with that duck. I never did. No, I never did.
Bill is holding something in his hand. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe somebody can zoom in and figure out what but he's got a big smile on his face. But anyway, I mean, I
just had Minnie Mouse. It's pretty good, I'm telling you.
It's smart digital marketing. It's taking every opportunity to humanize the candidate and make sure that people, while they're on your website, enjoy being there and create a buzz. We're talking about Hillary right now. We're talking about the fact that she's doing great marketing.
All right, but that picture of her and her husband and the kid wearing these duck hats, she's running for president, it looks dorky.
It does.
I mean, it reminds me of, who was that ran with the... Yeah, I'm looking at that. It's dorky.
But it humanizes her. That's the point. There's more than enough good professional photography of her out there. This makes her a real person. And it appeals to people.
All right. My kids love Disney. They'll never vote for her, so it's okay. I mean, it looks dorky.
I don't know. The appeal of Disney might cause Serena to change her mind. I don't know.
Right. You got the right one. I just can't imagine that. I'm sorry. When I first saw that, it hit Drudge and hit Fox and everything like that. I said to myself, this looks dorky. I mean, it did.
I mean, it does. But again, I will agree. It doesn't. I'll say this. I have never worn a Donald Duck hat, nor will I ever.
Nor have I, nor will I ever. All right. All right, let's talk about election websites for a moment. And I know the recent race for mayor, you were involved in that.
Yeah, we've done websites for county commissioners, sheriff's candidates, and mayor candidates, and it's nice to brag every now and then. I can say that we have a 100% success rate for our candidates. They have all been elected.
So, I mean, do you think that the candidates that you've been elected were elected because there's a lot of reasons behind it, but you're saying that you think that a real good website certainly doesn't hurt. I say, does it help? And you can say yes, but I'm saying it won't necessarily hurt.
Well, first of all, we weren't the campaign manager. We're just the digital marketing manager for many of the candidates. And so, hats off to the campaign managers and the candidates themselves. I mean, you have to have a strong candidate to start with. But once you have a good candidate, you have a good campaign, you also have to have a strong digital marketing team. And it's not just a website, and it's being on Facebook. It's being where your audience is. You have to have the right message. You have to be able to be found. You have to control the reputation that's out there. You can't allow the top 5 results on Google in the case of Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz to not be your campaign website. I mean, they're making basic mistakes that Hillary's not. And, you look at these two candidates and you wonder why. Why is it that when I search for Ted Cruz or I search for Marco Rubio, and I didn't do it for Rand Paul, I just didn't have the time. Why are these two candidates not showing up? They can solve that problem by going to any decent digital marketing person.
So are negative things showing up when you go to Marco Rubio and the others?
Well, at Focus, usually it shows their Senate or their political website for the U.S. government. That shows up as a result. Then news results show up, but their campaign website is not what shows up. And that's what people want to see. And it's interesting that not only does Hillary have the paid spot, you can purchase the advertising, which Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz have not done. But Hillary also has the number one, what we call organic result. And organic means that it's not in the paid search. It's in the what Google determines to be the most relevant search result spot. So she has both spots nailed, and these candidates do not.
So when we talk about what it takes for a candidate to be successful online, these are some of the ideas that you're talking about, some of them. What else do they need to do to be successful online in 2016?
Well, so we talked about social media. You got to be there. We talked about Hillary doing a great job of giving people insight into what she wants you to believe is the real her. Pinterest might be an interesting place for politicians to be. If you've got people who are using Pinterest, go out there and use it in a creative way, but be sure you use it in the way that makes sense for the community. So, example, Pinterest is a place where you go and post pin. It's called pinning. So you pin up to the board and you put neat photos that are interesting to you. And so she could be doing that. You've got to understand search engine optimization. In the local race here, that was another issue. You had carolyngoodman.vegas, but we insisted that the primary website was actually carolyngoodman.com because we knew that .com shows up in the search engines significantly better than any other extension. And Ted Cruz, here's another example, huge mistake. He doesn't have tedcruz.com. He has tedcruz.org. So he is at a huge disadvantage right from the beginning.
But somebody else has that, I imagine.
They do, and it's not a flattering website. So that's a mistake. Again, and I'll say this: a local candidate for mayor here didn't buy the domain name for his campaign. I'm not naming names, but yes. And he didn't buy the domain names for his campaign.
But somebody else did, obviously.
Somebody did. And, the same thing's happening to Ted Cruz right now. And it's a shocking mistake. In Ted Cruz has been elected for a little while, and that's the thing.
He's been thinking about it, running for a little while,
right? And as a company, you want to go buy your domain name that matches your company name. So we're VenturaWebDesign.com. Ted Cruz is the company.
How do you manage real quickly when you go to if I put Hillary Clinton in Google and it comes up with her website and all jazz, and now what happens when I hit news? And it gives me the latest news on her, and the same if it was Rand Paul or Ted Cruz or any of them at all. How do you manage what news comes up first and foremost, or can you not?
That's actually going to be more in public relations. That's not going to be in your search engine optimization realm, because the news area is not a place where you're going to find individual articles and websites. You're going to find news organizations, and then it pulls the relevant content from those news organizations. So you're not able to control that news feed as much as you can control the regular search engine optimization area.
But can you control it at all, though?
Well, I mean, you have to go to, for example, your website will come up under news because Google has figured out that you're a news source. So if you put some information out there and it's searchable and, you're underneath the news section of Google looking for information, and your website has the information somebody's looking for, allenstock.com would come up as a result. Ventura Web Design would not necessarily, because we're not seen as a news source. We're seen as a commercial entity.
If people want to get in touch with you, of course, they go to allenstock.com, as you mentioned. Go to the right-hand side of the page. Little Ventura Web Design logo comes up, and that's what you click on to. And, of course, you can get in touch with Kevin Richards and Ventura Web Design and see some of the things they do. And, yes, by way of disclosure, they did do my page. Absolutely. Thank you very much for coming. We'll do it again next Thursday.
Hey, thanks for having me, and keep your eye on allenstock.com. It's going to be changing soon.
We got some big changes coming up in the next couple of weeks or so. We'll tell you about that next week.